Welcome, friend, to Life and Liberty Radio. I'm David Householder, here to encourage your pursuit of happiness. You and I are partners, exploring our shared spiritual journeys. Together, we're dreaming and working for a free society. Tell others today about our adventure in faith and freedom. So breathe in, open your mind, lift up your spirit. Let's get started. So the Hillary Clinton hearings, the much-awaited hearings, are over with. And I'm going to talk about some things nobody else is talking about, because she sat before the Senate committee, and then she sat before the House committee, and basically each of these legislators just made speeches, campaign speeches, and then threw her a softball question or tried to look tough, depending on whether or not they were Democrats or Republicans. It's really very unfortunate that nothing really came of this. We don't know much more about Benghazi than we knew before the hearings. Now the Senate is supposed to be in charge of our foreign policy. They're supposed to be the ones who make all the treaties. They're supposed to be the wise old men, literally senatos, the senator, senile, the word, same Latin root, the old men who get together and work this out, old men and women with wisdom. And the House are supposed to be the representatives of the people. They're supposed to be asking the where's the money, follow the money questions. Neither of those things happened, which is really, really unfortunate. So they abdicated their responsibility, and nobody questioned the foreign policy. Nobody was asking, what are we doing in Libya? No one was asking, so why did we send military action or sorties and all that stuff into Libya? And why did the president do this without asking us? Why did we join the French in getting rid of Gaddafi, who was the evil dictator? And why did we take the side of the extremist thugs who took over after Gaddafi was killed? Brutally, by the way. It was just sort of a gang thing, one gang against another. Basically, in the Mideast, we have this situation. We have authoritarian dictators allied with the military on one side, and then we have freedom fighters on the other side who tend to be extremist Muslims and sort of anarchistic in their mindset and medieval in their morality. So why choose either side? But we feel a need to choose one side or the other, and we're not consistent. In Mali, we're taking the side of the military against the extremists, and in Syria, we're taking the side of the extremists against the military and the authoritarian people. We just sort of pick and choose as we go, and we make everyone mad as we do it. The only important question that was asked was by Rand Paul, actually, who asked, are there any ships leaving Libya with arms for Turkey? And the Secretary of State pretended like she'd never heard such a question before. But, of course, that's not true. The New York Times, in June of 2012, started talking about this, that somehow the State Department, the CIA, whoever, they were gathering all the arms left over in Libya from the civil war where Gaddafi was kicked out and sending them, these are valuable, durable goods, reduce, reuse, recycle, off to our NATO ally, Turkey, where they are creeping across the border on their way to so-called freedom fighters who happen to be extremist Muslims, especially the Muslim Brotherhood and the Free Syrian Army. So that's the side we're choosing in Syria, and we're making sure that they have weapons. It's sort of as if you were to take Fast and Furious in Mexico with Eric Holder and Reagan's Iran-Contra and put it in a blender, and that's what we've got. So basically we are arming, I believe, rebels in Syria with leftover arms from Libya and using the embassy as a way to pipeline this stuff along. Well, it turns out that Chris Stevens met for an hour and a half right before he was killed with leaders from Turkey. Now, why were they in Libya? Now, I don't have any conclusive proof of this, but there is no way that the Secretary of State had never heard of this. This was in the New York Times. This is not some weird right-wing website. So she should have known of this. And I was able yesterday to look up all kinds of Arabic language sources which have English versions, and they've been reporting this stuff since last summer. Now, I'm not saying it's all true. I'm not there. I haven't seen the arms showing up in the hands of Syrians, and these arms having come from Libya. I didn't follow them all the way, but there is no way the Secretary of State had never heard of this, which she pretended that she hadn't heard of them. So, in other words, she was lying. She could have said, no, that's a conspiracy theory, and it's wrong because of this, this, this. That would have been fine. But since she denied knowing about it, she made me think it's happening. I have no proof, but I think it's happening. Now I wasn't sure before the hearing, and I'm thinking, yeah, probably is happening. Why? Because we think we have to be involved in every single conflict in the world, which makes us enemies of half the world. And it continues and continues and continues. She also said, hey, we could have responded sooner if we'd had more bases in North Africa. Just what we need, military bases in North Africa, taking one side or the other depending on how the coin flips. Why would we do that? And the president, in his inauguration speech, said, we're going to be the military anchor in every corner. Not a military anchor, the military anchor in every corner of the earth. Great. We've become the Redcoats. The country that kicked the Redcoats out with Minutemen, we've become the Redcoats 2.0. And nobody in the Senate and nobody in the House questioned the basic thrust of our foreign policy. It's just like Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter went into the presidency very, very idealistic and peace-oriented, just like Barack Obama, but both of them got co-opted by militarist war room neocons. The Brzezinski people with Carter and the new war room that he's developing now. We've got Brennan coming in for the CIA, and he's Mr. Drone, for goodness sake. And so here we have this imperial president pretending to be something else. Perhaps he doesn't want to be this, but he's just sort of just pulled along here, like Carter was. So we continue to pick thugs or dictators or thugs, and nobody questioned it. Well, I believe it's time for you and me to start questioning it. We are a republic, not an empire. And I'm not talking about isolationism. I am talking about non-interventionism, not putting your hand in the garbage disposal when it's running, not getting in between dogfights of two dogs you don't like or don't know, not pretending like we understand the situation in a country far, far away. And we continue to create enemies who threaten us. None of these people would be bothering us if we left them alone. I learned very young to fight when you need to fight, to be at peace when you need to be at peace, and to mind your own business. We have enough trouble on our own continent. We have enough trouble in our own lives. We don't need to go borrowing it from others. So, ask questions. What is the foreign policy of the United States? Well, that's all for today on Life and Liberty Radio. Thanks so much for sharing this part of your spiritual journey with me. Now, the views on this program are not necessarily those of my advertisers, sponsors, places I work or do business with. They're purely my own, but I'm sharing them with you, so share your ideas with me. Write me on Twitter at Liberty House, LIBERTYHOUS, no E. Until next time, let's continue dreaming and working for a free and spiritually grounded society.